Wechselwillig, der Podcast zu den aktuellen Jobperlen der heißesten Digitalunternehmen. Mit Christian Lukas Elwart.
A wonderful good morning to all our fellow listeners from Wechselwillig. We're again in an English version, what is very exciting for me. And today I have the pleasure to welcome Adanya, the People Director of Trade Republic. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm very, very excited to share a little bit of what we're doing.
Oh, me too. I'm very excited to learn some stuff. So I hope that you can bear with my English. I'm not going to be too nervous. I'm speaking a little bit of Spanish, but I don't think it will be sufficient enough for a nice podcast episode.
We can try the next one.
It's going to be a short one, like something like 2 minutes. And it's going to be very embarrassing since I went to school in Spain. We are now in the third season of Wechselwillig, what is quite an exciting journey for us, learning about wonderful companies who are significant for the Berlin landscape or the digital landscape in Germany in general. I had some touch points with Trade Republic in my past as a user, what is quite exciting, of course. But actually, one of the companies what I didn't have been headhunted by now, so I can't speak about my own experience. But I had the pleasure of joining for a birthday 1.5 years ago, where it turned out that 80% of these wonderful birthdays were all Trade Republicans.
Wow.
Am I allowed to say Trade Republicans? I don't think so, right?
No, we call ourselves citizens.
Okay. Okay, that's good to clarify. And I got a little internal glimpse of how Trade Republic works and how it is to work for it. But I think the best idea you will give us. Adanya, you are a well-traveled man. Berlin seems like the first German country for you. You have been in Mexico, you have been in Panama, you have been in Barcelona. How is it? What have you done before? And introduce it yourself.
Sure. I am Brazilian born. So, of course, I started my career in Brazil. But Germany is my country number 7 now. I've moved all around, as you said, for work. And have been working in human resources, or the people function, as we now call it, since then. I've seen a little bit of everything. I've been to very traditional companies, traditional banks. I've moved into technology more than half a decade ago, and have been having fun since then. So I think the new countries, the new cultures, but also working in a field that you can transfer from one industry to another is a lot of fun. And is a great adventure.
I mean, there is one common point in all the companies. These are the people, so you will find them everywhere. You've been CHRO at Glovo, what is quite similar, like Get Your Gorillas, kind of from here, right? What is a very offline product, partially offline, because you have all the delivery people. And then you're moving completely online into a finance bank function. But I saw that you are quite familiar with this area, right?
Well, I think that, so there's 2 things. First is not my first rodeo on the Fintechs. I've been on the banking before, the traditional banking. And then after that, after some time, I've also been into payments within the Fintech environment. So that's one thing. The other thing is my 3 last companies, 4 actually, have one commonality, which is enable people to have a better life, no matter how, no matter what the product is, through technology. So, for example, one company was payments, another company was video games, another company was last mile delivery or logistics, and now Trade Republic as a fintech. All of them have one common theme, which is what I like to work with the most, which is using technology to enable a better life. And that means tech teams. That means hiring engineers. That means hiring data people, product managers. And I think that is the big commonality. And that is also why it was so easy for me to transfer from one company to another And also the reason why I don't want to go back to companies that are not technology based.
That's true. That's a big, big difference. Before we're going to dive into Trade Republic, for the people who actually don't know Trade Republic, even I think this is quite difficult not to. How is your experience? How is your first impression of working in Germany? I mean, people-wise and work-wise, I think it's pretty different. Berlin is quite generous when it comes being international, so I think it's easier for you. But how is your German experience until now?
Yeah, I have to say that I had some expectations. Having worked and lived in the Netherlands before, I was expecting some small commonalities, to say the least. But most of the things I was expecting them to be different, right? The first thing I have to say is that I do appreciate the transparency and the directness of the communication style. It's crystal clear what people expect, what they think. There's no way around it. That is a bit different from Latin America, where I come from, and is even different from Spain, right? So you go a little bit more around the bushes on those places than here. So it makes life easier in a way. Also, I think that in Germany, things are far more organized and very well structured. And I can say that both from the professional side, but also from the personal moving side, right? I was warned about bureaucracy, getting registered in town, all of these things. And to me, I think all of a sudden, everything worked. Registration process, scheduling, getting appointments. But people told me it can be quite challenging. I think I was just lucky.
Oh, wow. Are you like an ambassador for the city of Berlin?
You have no idea how much they are paying me. No, not true.
I mean, this is like quite uncommon that somebody says it was so smooth and so easy and so organized. Most of the people are like, I'm waiting for 3 years for an appointment.
So I heard, and that was also my expectation, right? And the last thing, which I think most of the people watching us will probably disagree, but I love the weather. I'm sorry. I come from a very warm country and I love the cold one. So it has been a bit of a bliss, a bit of a relief to me. Although I'm not looking forward to the summer because Germany, surprise, has no AC. Why is that?
We are caring about the environment. And actually, when you go to the office, you can wear shorts and you don't have to wear 2 outfits because in your office it's going to be like pretty winter while it's outside heavy summer.
True that. I'll take it.
That's what I experienced like in the US office when I was working there. I was super motivated, walked into the office like t-shirt, shorts, and everybody was like, what the heck are you doing? It's like freezing in here. A lesson to be learned. Trade Republic is considered the biggest saving platform. Is it the right description?
Yeah, saving platform, investment platform, or vehicle.
So I think I also invest on Trade Republic, so I think I'm a little bit biased here, but it was the right timing. It was the right product market fit. It was COVID. It was the democratization of investment. So it's not only the people at the stock who are able to invest. I think that's a super, super important part. But tell us more about Trade Republic. What are you doing? Where are you at? And what do we need to know?
Fakten.
Yeah, of course. So Trade Republic first is in a market niche that is very exciting, right? It is the first option for first-time investors, which means that people that are for the first time able to save in their careers, they're investing some money and they're looking into their future, or they're looking into a dream, and the platform enables that. When we talk about democratizing wealth, we talk about providing people with the means and the knowledge so that they can invest in things that are going to be more profitable to them, right? Earn more and be able to work towards their dreams or be able to work towards retirement, whatever their short, mid, and long-term objectives are. So I think that making sure that it's in the tip of your fingers, providing access through an app that is easy to understand and with so many options, so many disruptive instruments. For example, we have fractional trading. People can buy fractions of a share. They don't need to buy a full share because it's expensive, right? So all of these things are thinking about how you provide access to people with information, easy to use, in a tool that is catering and building for the future. I think it's a beautiful dream and it's a beautiful mission. And that's the reason also why I joined, because I truly believe that Trade Republic will democratize and create access and help a lot of people that otherwise would have to go through traditional investment platforms, pay exorbitant fees. And that's not the idea, right? The more people that have access to wealth, the better the collective future as well.
That's true indeed. I'm right now helping my mother to implement her Trade Republic account, what already was a hassle to forward the money on the Trade Republic account, because you can struggle with the basic facts to transfer it to the right account. But after 2 months, we managed it. And even my mom is now a little bit active on Trade Republic, what is quite entertaining to see. So let's see if she's going to listen to this wonderful piece of audio. What is your favorite stock you're investing at right now?
If I tell you all the stocks I have invested on in the past and had lost money. No, but I do have some ETFs, no, not specific stocks as well. But I have some indexed in US dollars for certain reasons. I do have investments in dollars, so it makes sense that some of my wealth tracks a dollar index. That's one example. I also invest in technology, and I would say that this is not great times because, of course, there was a big down. So now I'm waiting for it to get back on track. Among the more common known stocks that I have, of course, Microsoft, a little bit of Tesla, which also didn't go well. Delivery Hero, which is German-based, of course, and it's on the last mile delivery. So I know the market very well, just to mention a few. I also invest in other instruments. They're a bit different. A little bit of crypto, but not too much. It's not my risk appetite, and so on and so forth.
How many employees do Trade Republic right now have?
Yeah, we're around the 600s now, so a little bit over 600. And we're divided into many different teams. But I can also say that almost half of the employees are on the technology part.
Okay, and you're responsible for all of them, or are you dividing areas with different people?
No, that is correct. The people function or the HR function traditionally is centralized, and we are responsible. My team is responsible for all employees of Trade Republic.
How was it at what kind of stage did you enter? How many people have you been by then?
Yeah, so I joined the company in a phase that was right after more optimization and streamlining of operations, which meant there was a lot to be done. And also the scale up process needs seniority, right? So hiring new leaders and bringing in new people that have more experience from the market was a key factor. It was also a moment, it was almost a year ago, so it was August last year. It was also a moment that a lot of work on employee engagement, leadership development had to be done. That is underway. We have built quite a lot of things already in 9 months, but it's still a lot more to build in the upcoming year. So tons of work, but that's also the reason why I joined. If it was an easy ride, I don't think it would be challenging enough.
So you entered a German company, what needs to be organized by somebody not German.
I think it was pretty organized, but looking at the next step on what the new big thing looks like required someone that had seen it before. And I had seen a lot of scale in my previous jobs.
Okay, if you tell me this already on a silver platter, what was the craziest startup story you experienced in the past years?
Wow. So there has been quite a few. Prior to Trade Republic, there was a moment when I had just joined. I think I just joined Glovo, last mile delivery, 5 months in, and we literally had 2 months of cash in the bank. And the company was close to closing, close to bankrupt, and we were running like crazy after investors because we truly believed in the future of the company. But there were some tough moments. I remember working night after night, working with investors, pitching decks. And I actually would favor the investors that wanted to talk to me, right? Because you want an investor that is aligned also on the philosophy of management and how important people management is. Some investors, they're not really interested in this part, but the investors that are, they are usually with a great philosophy, management philosophy, freedom of ways of working, so on and so forth. That was one very critical moment, so to say. Also during COVID times was also very crazy in my previous experience. The reason's twofold. The first one is, of course, everything closes, right? When you have COVID, it hit, the restaurants close, the stores close, and therefore you don't deliver much. You don't deliver anything. Then all of a sudden, all the governments, with the support of the companies, regulate delivery. And then the company explodes in growth, in operational growth. And I have to start hiring and onboarding hundreds of people in 26 different countries, 500 different cities, people that would not go to an office, but would actually work on the delivery space. And the couriers, on top of that, also the delivery people. So it was like a bit of a roller coaster. In the beginning, we thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be a crisis, and I'll have to dismiss people because of COVID, etc. Then all of a sudden, no, wait, these people that we actually suspended the contracts will say, come back early, please, because everything is going nuts. It was super crazy, but a big growth.
Expect the unexpected, I guess. That's what we learned. Are you happy that you're working now for a product what is less it's an assumption, less operational, like a hustle, since it's like an online product, it's a lot of tech heavy. It's a different recruiting. Obviously, since you have less blue collar, you have more tech, you have more developers. I guess you have a lot of developers remote. Would you say you entered the company like, finally it's going to be a little bit more stable, and then you got teached again something else?
Well, it's very different, but there is, again, one commonality. It's all around people, and a lot of the people are within technology. And these populations have the same behavior, same patterns, similar wishes, similar backgrounds, somewhat of a pattern also on the ambition, on the style of working. So it's a lot of the things are the same. Being less operationally focused allows you to do more in-depth quality work, which is pretty cool. The solutions that you design in terms of, for example, training, managing talent, moving people from one country to another, staying competitive salary-wise on the markets we operate, it requires a lot of good work, depth of data, complexity. So it's a little bit like going from retail banking to investment banking. The clients are different, but you still have to provide them with the same kinds of services. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
How is working at Trade Republic different to your prior employers?
So here I have a story. When I was interviewing with the company, in the process, I interviewed with a lot of people, right? Senior roles usually meet a lot of the leaders, people that are already there, people in the team. And there was a moment that I told Christian, said, hey, Christian, you know what? I'm not very sure that I want to join Trade Republic because I don't think I am smart enough. I told him, everyone I met, I felt they were very smart. They know a lot about what they're doing. And they even would talk about things I wouldn't understand, not because only of the industry, but because they're really brilliant people. At that moment, I realized that what they needed, they didn't have because they had a lot of brilliant, IQ-focused, smart people, but they needed someone to solve some of the other problems, right? The problems of the emotions, the problems of the heart, the problems of the motivation. And that's where I would add value. But I think that connects very much with what it means to me to work for Trade Republic, because I learn something new every day. And it's not because I'm studying something, but because I'm exposed to a level of brilliance, a level of intelligence that is unparalleled to other companies that I've been before. So really, really brilliant, really smart people. Super cool.
So so you're covering brain and heart at the same time.
Yeah, I am thankful that there's a lot of people covering brain, including people in my team that I recruit, so that I can cover a little bit of heart.
I'm pretty sure that you're covering brain as well. Is there a policy to work abroad with you? Or is it like, can you do it? Can't you do it? Only limited, only certain countries? Because I assume since it's a finance product, it's an investment product, it's quite regulated. And that comes also with regulation to work.
That is correct. We do have a very specific policy. People can apply to work from outside of their home country. That has to be approved, but they can do it up to 90 days. We actually say that people need to be in the office for the mandatory events. And those are spaced out by 2 to 3 months. So they need to plan around those big events, right? When it comes to where someone can work from, usually within Europe, it is more okay than outside of Europe. Outside of Europe is very limited because of course, financial risk, GDPR, and other regulations, right? So if someone wants to work from outside of EU, it is very, very limited. If someone wants to work from within the EU, a little bit more flexible, and usually between 2 and 3 months as a maximum period, respecting the company-wide mandatory events, it is fine. It is okay. But we also have office attendance days for the teams, in which day of the week people should be there. And then people also connect with vacation, so on and so forth. So in that sense, it's pretty flexible.
Do you have only the Berlin office or other locations as well?
No, we also have an office in London, also an office in Stockholm, in Sweden.
These are nice locations.
I know. I need to visit more often.
Do you also have people who are like fully remote because they're in different countries and can't attend a location? Or is this not what you're planning to do?
We do have a few people who are fully remote, but there are quite a lot of requisites because we want to make sure that we leverage talent pool, right? So if some kind of talent is not accessible easily or for a price that is affordable, we have to expand our choices there. In order for someone to join us remotely, first one needs to be a very senior role, someone that will really change the state of things, will move the needle. Second one is the person needs to be in a role that it's very independent. So for example, someone that is managing a big team should not be in a remote role. It should be someone that is more technical, more working based on knowledge, right? And the third one is it needs to be in a country where we can actually technically hire, meaning we have a legal entity, we're legally established there so that we can have a payroll. All of this is, of course, important from my compliance side. So these are the basic requisites. We also have mobility from one country to another, but we would love people to move to Berlin because that's where the majority of the people are.
Valid point. When I work for Trade Republic, is there like part of my salary going straight into my Trade Republic account?
No, as a investment vehicle with an investment license, that's not something that we can do, right?
Do all Trade Republic employees have an account?
I think most of them do, from last I recall, but there are some people, for example, new joiners or people that move from countries that doesn't have Trade Republic, that they still go through the onboarding process, right? But for sure, they get to know the product when they're onboarding, they get to see it, they get to work with it. Also, we do have a certain investment profile. We have to remember that even if someone has the app, not necessarily the person is going to use it very often if the financial profile of that person doesn't allow any savings. Because today we're an investment and savings platform. And some people just don't save, right? They have other obligations, other options, so on and so forth. But I would say that the vast majority of people have the app or they get in contact with it when they join the company.
You already mentioned that you have a hybrid model, you have some people remote, you have people who are like moving from different countries, but you also said that you have to adjust to the new standards who now applying since people are not every day in the office anymore. How are you trying to create this feeling of community? What is super important with so many locations, and also what I would say even more important in this stage, what is like the scaling stage, and people, as you mentioned before, like people running together in the hunt for investors because we're running out of money. I mean, these are the kind of experiences what are creating bonds and forcing people together. So how are you managing this? What should an employee expect coming to you?
Yeah, so there's different initiatives, but we focus on teams, we focus on communities of interest, and we focus on company-wide. So every employee knows when they join, when are they supposed, for example, to be in the office. And that may be weekly on a certain day because the whole team goes that given day. To give an example, my team goes on Mondays. I think that the whole engineering team goes on Tuesdays, for example, which means you meet your team there. Of course, if you're traveling or if you're working from a different country or if you're on vacations, you're going to miss that 1 week or maybe 2 weeks. But most of the time, you're going to be able to find your team there. So that's one. The second one is we have communities of hobbies, of practice. We have sports communities, we have gaming communities, we have diversity and inclusion communities, people that have similar interests and they are bound by those interests. So we have events related to that. We have communication channels that are open. For example, now, this week, we started a mental health week, and there's a lot of people that are interested in that. We're providing events around mental health, such as guidance, meditation. We also provide benefits around therapy so that people can access. And that also generates some sort of community that is not connected with your profession. The third one is we have the company-wide events. So we have a company town hall every month. We have a company internal cultural focus town hall also every month, separate from the former. We have the 4 company big events every year. So every quarter we have a big event that everyone comes in person. So if you add up the times that you are with your team, the times that you are with the whole company, and the moments that you can interact with the community is quite a lot. Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's not, I think it's the quality, not the quantity anymore as it used to be. And when you add like these certain of high quality events, I think it's almost equalizing out.
Yeah, and also the dimensions to which these 3 different settings communicate with each person is different, right? When you talk about a company-wide event, you're fitting into the mission, fitting into the strategy, and fitting into the greater motivation to be in a company. When you talk about the team, you talk about the bonds that you build with people you work with frequently. And when you talk about the other communities, you talk about interests. You talk about diversity. You talk about things that each of us value as human beings without necessarily being focused on our jobs. So I think that covers pretty much a lot of the 360 of a person, and it's very inclusive.
Higher, higher, higher.
What would you recommend to people who are interested in Trade Republic and want to apply? I mean, you have a full range of young talents, of professionals. Your organization is so big that you're going to have needs in every part. What is your personal advice and recommendation to these kind of people?
Yeah, there's quite a few, and it depends on what kind of job the person will apply. But if you talk about the general process, we have the open jobs in the website. There is no role that is not open there. There is not a secret path or a secret recommendation path of some sort, right? Take a look at the website and find the one role, maybe 2 sometimes, but no more than 2, that you think are a good fit for your skills. Maybe 70%, maybe 80%, maybe 9%, and focus on those roles, focus on those applications. It is very important that you understand what is required. It is okay not to understand everything, because that you will only understand when you talk to the company, you talk to the recruiter, so on and so forth. But at least you're able to read through and understand that some of those experiences or requirements you have. If you know someone at Trade Republic with whom you worked with, someone that knows you from a working experience, and that person can refer you because they know the quality of your work, then do that. For sure, that is great. A referral is great. It's great for both. It's great for the person that is being referred because it's fast-tracked. It's great for the person that is referring because we actually give a bonus to someone that refers someone internally. And it's great for my team because it's easier to recruit, and the conversion rate, the quality of a candidate that is referred is usually very high. And then for someone that is getting into the process and you're asked to come to the first interview, make sure you understand about the role, make sure you understand about the company, check our website, check our LinkedIn, check every information that is available on the news feed of Google, for example. If you have the opportunity, download the app, play with it a bit, understand how it's set up, how it's working. And then these things will generate a lot of information, will generate genuine interest, and will show us that you really want to talk to us. And that is half of the way already. The other half is, of course, skill set, experience, and better fit.
What's your favorite question towards an applicant?
There's quite a few, but there's one related to self-awareness. I believe self-awareness opens career doors, and the lack of self-awareness, of course, will close doors. No, one of the questions I ask the most is, what is something that you have learned at work in the last 2 years? Something that I have learned is because I want to understand if the person knows what he or she doesn't know. Learning process in itself is going through the pain of not knowing something and then knowing. And 2 years is because of recency. Is this person frequently, over time, motivated to learn something new? And then this is going to show me whether that person is aware of the shortcomings, is focused on the learning and the uncertainty that it brings, and is also working on the longer term on the self-development. This is one that I like a lot.
That's very precise. I hope for all the listeners, you already wrote this one sentence out and you're going to practice it to the max. Do you see a difference in German applicants to your prior locations like Barcelona or South America? Would you say that the application processes and all the people processes are way different, or would you consider them already with this kind of size so international that it doesn't matter?
Yeah, I think it's a bit more standardized now based on the size and based on the professional levels. Given what I said, no, that it's very brilliant, smart people, the best in their fields. It is very westernized style of careers already. So the expectations are quite similar. The quality of the CVs, for example, is very high. It doesn't change much from Spain to UK to here. It's quite similar. The access of education, not necessarily the institutions themselves, but the profile of those institutions is also similar. So I don't see a big difference. What I do see in the process internally in itself is that it is a bit longer than what I was used to. Maybe one, sometimes even two more steps to make sure that we have the right person. So maybe it's usual for Germany, maybe it's specific to Trade Republic, but we are making sure that we get the right people in. We have a high bar, and we're taking our time to guarantee that.
What is I don't know if you're allowed to speak about it actually, your hiring goal like until next year? Is Trade Republic going to be like 1,500 people?
No, I think that is one of the, on your question around the kind of industry, no, operationally based versus app digital based. One of the beauties of most fintechs, including Trade Republic, is that your operations doesn't scale together with your headcount. That means you can be lean, you can be efficient, you can hire high caliber people, but you don't have to explode the population in numbers. You don't have to double or triple the size, right? Of course, at some moment in time, depending on the growth, there is an operational part for supporting the customer base that needs to grow. And there's some background operations that needs to be run based on volume, but most of it should be enabled by technology. So this is all to say that we're hiring aggressively. I think that we have almost 100 positions open. Most of them are in technology, but we have positions in marketing, customer service, compliance, finance, executive office. So many teams. Anyone can go to the website and check. And then, of course, a lot of positions for software engineers, software developers. Only today, I think we're hiring around 15 to 20 engineers a month. And that's quite a lot, and that's quite fast. And we want to speed up that hiring.
So you almost can lay it back. It's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. But there's a lot to be done and a lot to be built. That's for sure.
It sounds like you have already a lot of places, like processes and procedures in place. What seems quite advanced and is not completely common in all the scale-ups. What's your favorite area to hire in?
My favorite area to hire is...
Or department, what did you say?
I think that goes cross department, because what I like hiring the most are leaders that are either leaders of teams or leaders of leaders. I think there is a beauty in finding people that want to grow other people, and it's not very easy to find talented people leaders. So this is one of the areas I like the most, right? Or one type of hiring I like the most. I am particularly connected with finance. And the reason also is because finance is a partner in crime with HR, with the people function. You usually work very closely with budgeting, with compensation reviews, with the controlling function. And you also share that burden of being a bit of a side function or more of a support corporate function. So we have the same pains, right? We share the same pains compared to, for example, technology or front office or more commercial ones. So those are close to heart. And I think the most challenging hiring is definitely technology, particularly product management. You need to find mini CEOs for the product features or the product areas that you're developing. These people have to be bright, understand of technology, understand of business, have a ton of ownership, a ton of drive to drive people. So it's really like a unicorn. Every product manager is a unicorn. So it's very challenging, but very interesting at the same time.
It's quite interesting. I like the people leads people thing, because that's actually a very as you said, cross-departmental part and position. And I think that's the most difficult part, that you find people who can handle people, who can embrace development, encourage development. And I think especially in these kind of stages where you are right now, I mean, out of the startup shoes, scale up, and now getting almost into kind of corporate because you're a very regulated product. I think that's very interesting to find the profiles here.
It's interesting, yes, but there's a good side of it, which is leadership is also transferable because people are people, right? So it's not necessarily that I need to work specifically on a fintech. I can hire someone from marketing that has a leadership experience from an advertising agency, for example, if I find a good leader. So the transferability of the skill is a good one. The scarcity of the skill, particularly for leaders of leaders, that's a tough one. Because when you're a leader of a team, you have to hire, develop, compensate, promote, maybe dismiss someone, right? But when you become a leader of leaders, your mindset changes quite a lot. And you have to be focused on developing these things on the leaders that report to you. And that ability to transform doing as a leader to teaching your leaders is a very difficult step. It's not so easy. And that's the reason why, of course, seniority hires take long, it's difficult, it's expensive. We focus a lot of resources on it.
Do you have a lot of people who started with Trade Republic quite junior and are developing all the way up? Because, I mean, for a lot of people, this is the intention why they're joining a startup, right? It's like a fast tracking career.
Yes, there's quite a lot of people, and we look at the tenure, for example, and the progression, right? So people progress quite fast. If I look at the people that were hired 2 or more years ago, they're definitely not at the same level. They've been promoted, and there's many of them that became leaders in the company. It's such a big number and so important that we are actually designing now to launch in Q3 a internal people management program, because these people, they have never managed people anywhere before, right? And then all of a sudden we tell them, hey, you're going to take up this team because you're great and you're growing. And then we give them a team without giving them the proper preparation. So now we're tackling that. We're designing now a program so that everyone that got promoted internally to leadership, they can be better prepared. They get some tools, some trainings so that they can deal with people management. But there's quite a lot. And also a good thing that I like about Trade Republic, particularly in technology, that's common, but it works for almost every area. Some people try to become people leaders. They realize they don't like it, and they move back to being a specialist. We allow them to do that back and forth too.
But that's beautiful, actually, because so many people always, or companies always assume if you want to have leaders or people managers, you need to outsource, like you need to get them from the outside rather than putting money into internal development. But I like the fact that you're also like embracing and supporting people who realize, I thought I'm going to like it, but actually, that's too much hustle. I don't want to take care of all the struggles and all the emotions and all the micromanagement. I think that's actually quite nice that you also tell the people it's okay. I always like the fact it's worse when people try and don't want to than vice versa. Because as long as somebody wants to, you can do everything and you can develop the person into certain directions. You just need to find the right one.
And in that sense, we also don't limit anyone in terms of levels, growth, nor salary because of their choices around manager or not manager, right? And to your previous point, in terms of developing internally, the optimal blend is half-half. We should grow people internally, but we should also bring people that have experience managing diverse people in different industries, in different sectors. From the outside, so that they also teach and learn from the ones that are inside, right? Management is a human-focused science. It's not a product-focused science. And that's the beauty of it, because you can teach and learn from any person.
Usually I ask the people at the beginning how they ended up or how they started in the startup branch. I'm going to turn this time a little bit around, and I'm going to ask you, could you imagine to work in a different environment? I mean, you're not 100% early stage startup, but you are a startup, you're a scale up. Could you imagine to leave this kind of area and say, okay, I'm going to go to a global corporate, or this is just not the right environment for me because I can't move shit?
Yeah. So I have to start by saying that I've been on the big corporates for 12 years, I think. And those places are amazing schools, right? You have the stability, you have the processes, and you have the time to go through full cycles of learning and learn the best there is. If you're lucky to be in a company that is, for example, very forward on the people thinking, on the leadership thinking, you get exposed just by being there. And of course, by working in the HR function there to amazing products, amazing initiatives, development programs, compensation schemes, and all of that. So I am very thankful for all of these years that allowed me to build up that expertise. That being said, I think that the rhythm now that I'm used to, the speed and the adrenaline of building something and this risk factor that comes with it and all the joy and the fun that comes with it. And on top of that, it connects very much with my personal style about being very informal, very natural, very you bring you fully to the office. I think I connect pretty much more. I don't see myself ever going back to a corporate world. And I pretty much made that career decision when I first moved to the first tech scale up in 2016. And never to look back. But I understand the value and I am very thankful.
You mentioned before that you have a lot of open positions online for all the people who are interested to have a look. If you could tell us 2 positions who would like, it would be really helpful if we can place somebody on this position. It would be beneficial for you, it would be beneficial for the team and the organization to finally fill the gap. What would it be?
Yeah, so let me be fair here and mention positions at different sides, right? So we have quite a few product manager roles open. Those are to work with the product directly, with new features, help and coordinate engineering teams on development of those, A/B tests, look at KPIs. So this is, as I said, a mini CEO in terms of ownership and in terms of accountability. I think that's a key position to us. And also, as we mature as a company on a highly regulated environment, we have some financial planning and analysis, FP&A roles in finance that are very high level. It requires depth of thinking, requires experience in FP&A, and it's critical to the business, critical to us understanding how to structure and build costs, how to control costs and scale in the right way. I think those are very different positions, but both require brilliance in their field, and it would be amazing to close some of them in the upcoming weeks.
I like the fact it requires brilliance. That's a very nice say. Adanya, I think we taught the people already 45 minutes about the wonderful Trade Republic. A lot of learnings. I like all the wonderful insights you brought after all the years, and also that you are a person who is able to connect the corporate and the startup vision. I also like the fact what you said before, that corporate can be a good school and like a stable environment to learn. And I think especially like in early stages of your career, this, if you don't have too much hustle around with stupid stuff, it gives you the opportunity to become an expert in your field. So I think you framed this very, very nicely. I'm very excited to see what kind of wonderful features will pop as a notification on my mobile as a Trade Republic app. What is my connecting point here? For all the people who are interested, browse yourself through the homepage, have a look on the wonderful job openings, and in best case, you're going to have a certain stage interview with Adanya.
Hopefully we'll cross paths in the interview process for sure. Who knows?
Maybe I'm going to interview with you at some point.
That would be a payback because you're interviewing me now.
That's true.
Ende Gelände.
Adanya, thank you so much for your time, the wonderful insights, and I hope you're going to have wonderful applicants lined up for a lot of product positions.
Fingers crossed. Thanks again. It was very, very nice to be part of this. And hey, you watchers, listeners, I hope you get some insights and have some fun with us. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.